Hold on. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
So do we call to order by roll call if we use remote, or is that only to adjourn or vote on things?
We just have to vote.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
so let me start this again. Hi, it's 7:34, and we're going to call the meeting of the Green Team to order, okay? It's been exciting time since we last met. So first of all, there's no minutes because the last ones would have been on me, and unfortunately I didn't print what we went through, but someday I'll get it out, okay? I'll get that out for us and things like that. But we made the deadline to actually file. Everything went in and went through. The most exciting thing for us is we actually have somebody in the schools now, again, who understands what's going on, who might understand what's going on, and understands what, you know, has a desire to work with us. So Dr. Sue Gilson, who's kind of like the business person there, turns out she has a double degree. Her first degree was mechanical engineering, and then she's got her education degree and all that stuff. And her first career was at Carrier, the AC folks in Connecticut. So she's actually taken to the idea, you know, understanding. It was easy to try to get her to finally understand, like, the benefits of the heat. When she started to understand the idea that you use these things to a certain point and all that things. And then the biggest thing that they're now understanding is how much that's going to benefit them. Because if you have one teacher that likes a room at 68 and one teacher that likes a room at 72, they can have a room at 68 and they can have a room at 72, or at least believe they have a room at 68 and one at 72, something like that. So we went in for the full. We ended up going in for $223,941. So we missed by $1,058 of hitting the full number of 230 that we're 225 that we're allowed.
Cool.
So the projects were refrigeration controls at the three schools: the elementary, the high school, and the Turkey Hill. And then there was 200, that was like, you know, a scattering of money. That's about, say, 10K there, a little over 10K. And then there was $200,000 towards the mini splits. Utility incentives are $113,000. And that means the town only had to spend $400,000. And this is going to be something like, I'm trying to say 15 units. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Did it say here? Darn. Oh, I have it in another file. I'll get you guys access to those files too. But there's a whole big.
Dave, that is the ballpark. It was in the middle to high teens on the units.
Yeah. Yes. So it was exciting. You know, they're starting to understand things, and I'll let you go if you want. That's like it opens up to be one long spreadsheet.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, so we have that. We had the two cruisers. A little bit of, was there any admin fee thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little admin so that we can keep Karen for another year, so she can they can do the final report and the next round of grants. Hopefully, because we can get the grants this time, because, you know, the mini splits is pretty much like a ready to go type of projects on this thing. So this was really exciting to get this done and to now have them see that they have a path to redoing things at the school. So what we were able to do is, it was not only just the 15 units, but we were able to retrofit all of the existing units as well as get them on the building maintenance control system. So this was like, you know, not just the project of the new units, it was also getting all the other units on the system, now having it where there's, you know, everything's connected on Wi-Fi, or everything's connected. They can control it all from one central location. This was actually really exciting for them to go on. Okay. So that was the exciting part of getting the grant in on there. And I'll send the spreadsheets and the link to all the wonderful sites in there.
What's the difference between this number and then, like, where did this number come from? Is that the total minus all of that?
So yes, that would be the total of all of that. So we're doing.
The gray column is subtracted from
Yeah.
right? So then
Yeah.
what's
So-
left is,
So we're doing 800,
Like half off.
yeah, so yeah, we did
Plus
eight,
energy savings.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So this is really, this was really, really good on this thing. We've also now started to get, we have a gentleman, Matt O'Keefe, who has been very helpful in getting people to come and start getting into things and start actually getting, he was able to get like an architect to do some of the present prescriptive stuff, the weatherization that was in. So it was pretty exciting because, it worked out to be, it was a really great effort by the schools, by Unitil, and by everybody else. In fact, the funny thing is we were waiting for the contractor who ended up, getting everything at the last minute type of thing. You figured they were making good money.
is Matt with Unitil?
Matt's with Unitil. So Matt O'Keefe is our, liaison for that. Okay. And
Dave, have
so-
we had any inquiries from DOER on an initial review of the application? Usually there's
We
some
have-
contact.
Yeah, so we did have that. We went through, they asked for additional information. Sue and Matt were able to pull that together for them. So far, everything's looking good. And I'll talk about that in a minute because
Yep.
that was the next thing that we had.
Right.
I wanted to back up real quick.
Sure.
The meeting minutes, we did have minutes from before, like from previous month's meeting minutes. I don't know if we wanted I could send them back out so we can review them for next time, or I don't know if everyone reviewed them.
I think we actually,
Unless you did them already, I don't know.
I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
voted them at the.
We voted at them at the
Oh,
last
okay,
meeting.
yeah, I wasn't close. It was like August and September.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at the website and
Okay.
make sure that.
no problem. All right, and I'll send a note over for them to be able to post it on our wonderful webpage that we don't get looked at. Okay.
I'll check on.
All right, so now here comes the next thing. So I'm gonna jump, any other questions on the grant or anything like that?
And there's nothing immediate we need to do with that at this point? That's
Nope.
now just
Just wait,
school's hands?
just wait, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So either the school's gonna be doing a huge project or they're not. Let's put it that way.
When will we find out?
I think it's they make the announcement, I think in March, if I remember right. February or March, something like that, is when they usually make the announcements.
Oh, to hear back on what we're this is what we applied for, not what we've been.
Correct, because now we're in competitive grants.
Yep.
So you have to go against 298 communities are now part of Green Communities.
So we could get all or partial or nothing.
Exactly. But based on what we're asking for the right stuff now.
Yeah.
So that's been the real key. The real key was to change, and that was thing. So that'll get me into my next topic. Next topic is that on the 22nd of October, they had their first ever Green Community Summit over at Devon's. Okay, so they invited, they had over 200 people from different communities and things like that coming out. It was very interesting, and I'm going to go over a few of the things that they talked about there. But there's some new programs going on. There's some new things that I think could really benefit us in this short-handed community. The funniest thing I had is, of course, you're sitting there and chatting with people. And so I'm chatting with these folks, and it's one of them, he's from Rockport. And he's got the title of basically town grant writer.
No?
And all he does is get the information and write grants.
Is it
So
just for green communities or anything in the town?
anything that the town wants, all he does is, he was a grant writer.
Is he self-compensating from the grant?
No, right? Who knows? But
I don't know.
the fact is that, so this was the interesting thing about that. So I look at Rockport as about the size of, people-wise, about Lunenburg. I would look, or maybe even they would have more people than us. But anyway, they have a part-time health inspector, health, part-time conservation, and part-time building inspector, but a full-time grant writer. Because they felt like, how much do I really need? How many Board of Health, how many folks are saying I need a new well or a new septic or something like that, and all that stuff. So there was like 3 towns I was talking to that all was setting their government up that way.
Oh.
They set it up where they had somebody to do, in fact, one of them, they actually had a full-time person dedicated to just energy saving, looking for energy saving projects. And they had part-time for other things. And I was like, wow, it was an interesting concept. I don't know if I'm ready to bring that up at town meeting, but, the fact of the matter is we can't find people. Maybe that's an interesting way of doing it. But
Dave, could I
Mike,
interrupt for just a half a
Sure.
second? If
Sure.
you would you pass that information on to the finance committee chair?
I will.
Because
I'm waiting.
there's some-
What I'm doing is I'm gonna. Yeah. I definitely.
Yeah,
I
there's some
plan on it.
question, there's some question as to whether or not the grant money line item is going to survive into the 2026 budget. So I think people need to start hearing this. I heard it in finance committee meetings last spring and brought that to the town. And if you can bring the information you got, that money is well spent when it gets spent.
Exactly. Yes. And I think that's the biggest thing that we got here is that there's grants out there. We just don't, none of us are proficient at, or have the time to really sit there and do grant writing type of thing. And it's an art. I mean, as he says it took me a little while, but now it's almost like a boilerplate. I know exactly what I have to do. I just kind of say the same thing 6,000, it's the same thing over and over, and I can write a grant and, it takes me a week.
Way to say it and say it again.
Exactly. So that was really exciting on that. So let me go through a little of the things on this summit that they talked about and things of that sort. So first of all, there are now 298 communities in the green community thing. And the funny thing was, there's still communities that are first becoming green communities. So I was sitting with one of the gentlemen, he was Peabody. Peabody just became a green community.
Wow.
You're looking at a thing like that, if that's a big city, and they would have taken free money, because the first one's easy to get, but that was the thing. So one of the things they gave out is they did talk about the whole goal is we're supposed to be able to reduce our energy usage by 20%, right? Well, they gave out awards to 27 communities that have done this since COVID. They were able to, since COVID, they've been able to reduce the energy usage in town by over 20%. One town was something like 32% they were able to reduce their energy.
That since
Since they became a green community.
Since it became a green community. Okay.
Yes. So, right, that's the whole goal of the green is we're supposed to be able to reduce. I have to find it somewhere, but somehow I'll get us to where we're at. I think we're maybe at 5% or something like that. And what these communities mostly did is, instead of where we concentrated on lighting, they concentrated on heating, that real energy usage more than anything else. Because they felt that was really the only way they were going to do it, was to be able to, that was the biggest bill, was heat and cooling.
Yep.
And that was the biggest impact they had.
Did they go from oil and stuff to electric, or how did they do
A lot of it, that's what it is. It's going to these heat pumps and
Do
things.
they have Unitil or other, maybe municipal electricity?
Some of them were municipal, some of them were not as much Unitil, but it would have been National Grid or other ones like that. I didn't take the list of towns or something like that. There was 6 in Central Region, 15 in the East North, 2 in the Southeast, and 4 in the West. So I think we're in the Central. I think if Kelly's the Central, so there's 6 communities there that made it. I'm trying to say. It might have been Pepperell that was the one that was one of the ones that made it. It was either one of the local towns had done it. So the biggest thing that they said is that they went, they did the energy side of things, and I think that's where we're really going to see the benefit thereof. They also all of them had an energy person that worked for the town, which is a big difference.
Right.
Okay. So there's.
And when you're saying energy, you mean heating, cooling was the focus?
Yes.
As opposed to.
Yes. Yeah. And we've done mostly, like you say, we've done lighting. And lighting, yes, the street lights were a big one, but it's not as much usage because the use, yes, that's usage, but.
Only half a day.
Exactly. As well as it's only lights, not a boiler going or anything like that, Some of them, there was interesting ones where they're actually participating where the Mass Save has a program that if the school, agrees to turn their AC systems low, I'm sorry, so that the temperature can go up higher in the schools, they actually give grant kickbacks to the school.
Yeah. They do that for like your house too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like, or at least they did when I was in Eversource. If you had like your house in eco mode during like peak hours, they'd give you like rebates throughout the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Good idea, though.
yeah. But, since we're so much into okay. So the other thing they're doing is there's actually a couple of programs out that I thought was interesting. So the first one is this thing called KELT. Dave, I'm going to turn off the video. Well, you're not on there anyhow, so you're going to lose the video because I want to show some things now.
Sure.
Because you know what we look like by now, and we know what you look like, so don't worry about that. So, all right, let me get this to,
So while you pull that up, do we think that these programs will actually stick around with the proposed government funding reduction?
yes. Actually, no, this is what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
These are new for 2025. Okay. All right, Dave, you see my screen now? Mr. Patrick, do you see my screen?
You're not sharing yet.
Oh,
All I have is a blank Zoom screen.
oh, okay, hold on. All right, you know what, I can't see what's going on. Oh, here we go. You are sharing Lunenburg grant, credits and reductions with my KELT. KELT,
Like K-E-L-T?
P-E-L-T, actually. Okay. Okay,
Here it is.
so do you see, okay.
Yep, that's up.
All right, and let's see. Okay, here's the one I wanted, okay. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to figure this, how I'm going to figure this out, we'll figure this out. Actually, let me just switch over here. So KELT is this joint effort, let me make it smaller here. Sorry to do this to you guys, but otherwise, okay. KELT is a joint effort that the state is doing with UMass Lowell and Boston University. And the two people who are running it there, this Rory O'Mahony from Amoni, I blew the name, but he's from the UMass Lowell. They're more on the resource side. And then there's this gal, Emily Ryan, who's with BU, who's more on data collection and helping towns present energy plans better. So I'm going to skip a lot of this thing. This is going to go with okay. So there's two components to this program that you have. Is that one of them is they're helping you determine projects, get the projects ready for, to present, and then actually help you through the project. So they're willing to give it's UMass Lowell grad students that will actually lend to the town for a 3 to 12 month period to help you do this type of thing.
So it's like a free resource
It's a free
program?
resource that way. The other side of it, though, is also the data, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so this is, of course, you got 10,000 people, and everybody and their mother is now saying this is great. So the idea is that the big thing is they're trying to give you a better way to present and to show and present data so that the townspeople can easily understand the benefits they're going to be of contributing or going forward with these programs to reduce energy. Because they've determined that that's the biggest obstacle. The idea is you spend money to make money, and that's what they were running into right now. So let me go back here. They're talking about the different, so this would be one thing. They're saying, okay, solar PV potential in the different cities, the different communities. They talk about, this is not that. They talked about, just the different ways that they can to show data on there and to accumulate data for you. So it's a new program. I'm going to send out some links to everybody to take a look, but there is a fellowship program starting in January of 2025. And that idea there is this is where you can ask for some help. But you have to apply, once again, you have to apply type of thing. So, that was one excitement here. Hold on, oh, here we go. I lost my sheet of paper here. So 3 to 12 month period. There's two folks, one's on the resource side, one's on the data side, and to help you get that. So that was the first thing that they talked about. The next thing they talked about was FIFO. And I know this sounds, okay,
Oh,
sorry. So Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office. Can you still see, did the screen change for you, Dave? I won't worry about it. But anyway, what this is actually another area, but this is something different. This is when you look for federal funds. So this was everybody who had grant writers. We're so excited with this program. So you look for federal funds, and the state will help with matching funds to help you qualify for these grants. So there's like, and it's a weird setup. Hold on. How do I get rid of that stupid thing? Here we go. Okay. So basically the match funds are used to help pursue grants. There's $50 million available for financial assistance, $12 million for technical assistance to help find federal grants. Entities, we got, this is the how to apply. I'll skip this part. Applicants, you got to provide information. I'm going to skip this. Shoot, where was this? Oh. So like one of them is there's a big push for school buses, big school bus push. Hold on. This is all the school buses.
That's interesting though too, because don't we contract that out? That's not right. I wonder if they're looking into that.
Okay, so I didn't know how small we were. We're more than 10,000 people,
I
remember?
think it's like 11
Yeah.
something.
Okay, so we didn't qualify for this, but they had energy matching funds. They just had a program for matching funds for communities under 10,000.
We can kick some people out, right? There you go.
So
Motion.
this was an interesting one too. So I'm going to try to watch this and monitor it. But there's basically that the state of Massachusetts has set up this group. There's a gentleman, Bob LaRocca, that came from that office, and the idea would be it's to try to help communities get these different things. There was that was another exciting one. The next thing that they talked about was under the Inflation Reduction Act, there's a thing called direct pay. And what direct pay was that you can actually, you can actually deduct from your taxes. Well, you're tax exempt, but the town could actually get money back from the government for any energy saving project that they did. And I knew nothing about this one, but this was something that other towns were already going for. So what the idea is, you apply, you actually apply to them for federal funds before you even start the project. And they will tell you what you're eligible for, and you're eligible anywhere from 6% as the base credit, but then say if you use like prevailing wage and apprenticeships programs, they multiply that by, that's an extra 5% kicker. If you used American-made goods, it's an extra 2% kicker, and things like that.
Required to use that stuff, but financially beneficial.
Exactly. So, and it was a way to justify using prevailing wage, to me, I think that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But the great thing about this was you can actually, before you even start the project, you can ask them, will this qualify and how much am I gonna get? So it's kind of like the same thing as the Unitil incentives and things like that. And by the way, I'm trying to get the slides that everybody used, because now I'm also trying to, they were supposed to send the slides like a month ago, but I keep bugging them. But that was gonna be easier than me trying to remember everything and write everything down, type of thing. So direct pay was another exciting thing that they're talking about. So what you're doing is it's any project put in service between January 2023 to December 2032. So you can even have a project that's going to take 10 years before you put it in service, and they still would, you can still actually get qualified for it. Some of the towns talked about like, what was it? What town was that? One town did when you drill down a well?
Oh, the geothermal.
Geothermal.
Framingham?
It wasn't Framingham, but it was somebody in the North Shore. But anyway, they did an entire school.
Okay.
They did something like 250 wells.
Oh.
And throughout the whole school. But I thought that was like Swampscott. It was actually Swampscott. Swampscott was a 900 K through 4 students, 80 geothermal wells. Man, I was way off. 80 geothermal wells, but it was over 100,000 square foot school. And, they got this, they were able to see that they were going to get like a 20% kickback even before they started the project to help reduce the cost. They had this, that, and it was quite impressive. And by the way, they're saying it's doing amazing right now. So they talked about that a lot and things that so that was another one of the programs. There is also the other one that they found was interesting is there was a woman from Natick, and she was talking about how they did their library. And they actually got their library, that one building, they were able to reduce the energy usage by 30% in that one building. And the funny thing they found was there was an archive room that they had. And, well, first of all, it was folks driving by and seeing that in the middle of the night that half the lights were still on, right, in the building, which made them wonder if the heat was still on or everything else was still on. So they had an archive room, and they found out that the archive room was on 24/7, 365. And the equipment that they had installed to help preserve things was actually so worn out and not working well that it was actually deteriorating things. So this was the huge project, but they did this over a 5-year span, 10-year span. They dedicated a lot of their project to that one building, and they were able to reduce the energy usage by all heat pumps, all this. So they, mainly the management systems, mainly teaching people how to use the management systems, teaching people to not touch things in the thermostats in the building and stuff of that sort. So that was kind of exciting. But that was the big push we heard. People said that that's what they had to say. They say, for me, I look at it as now a big push now needs to be more on the, going to the heat pumps and things like that. Which brings me to the next subject on there. There is Mass Save is having a program, and I'll send out the information for requesting it. But there is a Municipal Energy Manager competitive grant program to help with technical assistance portfolio planning. So the portfolio planning, and it's basically they would give you an energy manager with a salary of up to $120K for 3 years. That Mass Energy will. Now, I don't think we're going to, we wouldn't qualify as a town like Lunenburg, but we could qualify for possibly, a part-time person. But the other big thing is that they're doing is there actually is going to be a program to help identify energy savings in up to 5 buildings per year for all people who are under the Mass Save program, which we are because of Unitil and things like that. So, and as well as staff training on how to use energy management systems, how to, what's the benefits thereof, how to reduce energy into the building. So I'm going to be putting a big push on the town's facilities guy, as well as if they when they hire a new school facilities guy. So if anybody wants to be a facilities manager for school, they're still looking, okay? Facilities guys to really get educated this time, on it. So that was a big one. And then Mass Save is also looking to help with a couple of programs for schools. So there's going to be a Mass School Building Authority heat pump program to help schools subsidize moving to heat pumps on it. And that's what the big focus for Mass Save is going to be, is trying to provide and help with the schools more than anything else. So when I can get these slides, we'll send them out. But unfortunately, I'd like to let you guys look through and find things. I'm trying to, it was a full day thing, and I'm trying to condense it. And the problem you had is that it was tough at times. Because obviously you can't really take pictures of the presentations that easily and things like that.
Just wear like a GoPro.
Yes. So I did meet with this. I got a name of somebody from the Municipal Energy Efficiency and Climate Action Planning at National Grid. And so this one is like a gentleman, Matt Keefe, is going to be for us. And then there's a Sean Cross, who's going to be for National Grid as our one. So I'm going to try to get them together with meeting with us and meeting with the schools to try to talk about what we can do, what they'll subsidize and what they won't subsidize. Basically, like I said, like we did a couple of years ago, we did part of the grant we did for a training program on how to use the systems and all that stuff. Now, granted, we lost our facilities manager at both the school and the town at the same time. So nobody went, and we just lost the money. But it turns out National Grid, Unitil pays for that for us to go. And so I'm actually trying to convince Sue to go instead of waiting for the facilities manager type of thing. But it's a 2-day thing on how to develop the systems, how to work the systems, and things of that sort. So that was the next exciting part. But there, as I mentioned, there is this deadline of a January 31st, so the end of January, to be able to go get this municipal energy competitive grant and the technical assistance on the portfolio planning. So I need to send out to everybody and try to take a quick look, and then let us try to get in. We'll figure out what we have to do to get signed up for this program, type of thing. Cool. Whew. All right.
Take a water break. Yeah, that's a lot of things.
So it was exciting. So they're going to look to do this again. I like the idea there was a Devon's. That was nice.
Yeah.
The fact they did it on a Friday was a pain in the neck, but that's okay. It worked out well. But the state is really committed to helping the towns with this thing. So they had talked about these programs, and as long as we have the present coalition at the state, they're really pumping this thing. And the Mass Save programs, so the big one's going to be, I think, like I say, the next one in the school. I think our next few times they're doing grants, we will have those school projects, the heat pump projects at the school. Next one's probably going to be Turkey Hill that they're going to look to do, because Turkey Hill is a building. It's we don't know. They're doing a study right now to see what it would be to fix that up, and whether it makes sense to keep it as a school or not. That they got that money through the ARPA funds, but at some point, this time they want to make sure if the school gave us Turkey Hill back to the community, it's not a piece of junk like when they gave us Passios, type of thing. That it's well maintained and things of that sort. They have huge problems right now where they'll have exactly that. They'll have one teacher complaining it's too hot, one teacher complaining it's too cold. They're in rooms next to each other. They have the person at the very end gets no heat, gets no AC. If you have that nice corner office, you're going to get nothing. And so it's a prime one for us to start doing heat pumps there.
Yeah.
However, they're going to, we need to have a comprehensive plan, because they're going to have to do weatherization first.
Yeah.
And things of that sort.
Well, and if they decide that the building doesn't work. And I mean, I don't know that that's going to be it sounds
Right.
like they're working within the renovations for that as opposed to considering another new build, right?
Well, they're saying that if they wanted to consider a new build, it wouldn't be, they need to make Turkey Hill work for 10 years.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, and you're right, so you need to make it work for 10
Right.
years. And
Yeah.
it has to be something when it's done.
And it's probably gonna be a lot longer than that, even if we're like, oh yeah, only 10 years, we're gonna be there for longer.
Well, that schools seem to get passed around here. Everything else is tough. So they're talking
Yeah, hey,
about.
Dave, can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
I think our committees and any other committees that are looking towards the type of work we do on improving buildings and so on, need to look at Turkey Hill as either being the town offices building and community center or not there. The school department will push back on the comment I'm about to make, but they have already written off Turkey Hill as not being the school they want going forward. It's not there's no official out there, but any of this work that's supposedly to prove one way or the other whether it's going to be a school or not is just gathering data. That will not be a school 20 years from now. That decision's already been made in the background. But it doesn't mean that we don't do the improvements, as you were just talking about, because you'll be in there for at least another 10 years, if not more.
I was thinking more resistance from townspeople. If the folks feel like that building is not long for that use, but if they know it's going to be used for something else, obviously that makes sense. It's just, there's been a concern expressed at town meetings about putting money into a building that we then may do major renovations on or tear down or do other stuff to, so.
Yeah, well, the basic problem is that the school department over the last 20 years has pushed themselves into a position that they're in a building that is not designed for the student body that they have in there. And you cannot renovate it to make it fit the student body they're in there. So there's no way that's going to be for the long term that building's going to be renovated for school use.
I find that, and I know this is not our committee's charter or anything, but I find that hard to understand because, other than a urinal being too tall, I don't understand how it can't, why kids can't use, how the age makes a difference that much.
It's our history.
I know. I understand. I understand.
I mean, or do we expect like the population to change so much that the school's gonna be too small? Like,
It's actually, so it's humorous there, but Dave's graduating class was larger than the graduating class that we had here this year, right?
Right.
So,
okay, so then no, we don't expect to probably grow based on.
well, we're gonna, I expect some growth, but the problem you have is between the regional technical school, I just, why I blank.
Monty Tech.
Monty Tech, and grabbing students from us and things like that, and school choice, I don't know if it's, the population would ever be as large, how much larger.
Yeah.
type of
Yeah,
thing.
Lunenburg sees that shrinking school population starting in grade 7.
Yeah.
As you
Right.
just said, Dave, because you've got charter schools, you've got all kinds of entities pulling on those numbers.
Yeah. So I have to say, and as I said, that the Turkey Hill, the unfortunate, I'm stuck on another committee, but there's a building reuse committee going on, and it's like, okay, we're going to renovate this building. And to me, it's sad, but, I agree, Turkey Hill would make a great town hall, make a great town offices and everything else like that. But, nobody wants to wait. Nobody seems to be working together. That's unfortunate. So I do believe that as a group, that if we can concentrate on, making Turkey Hill a good building still, that we can leave it as a great benefit to the community. It could be a great benefit to the community.
Someone's gonna use it. I don't think we'd tear it down unless we like really let it go.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So,
Yes. I mean, they're resisting tearing down Passios, and it's already gone.
yeah.
Right. That type of thing. So, and they still, I guess they talked about the Brooks House again.
Yeah. Selling it, lease it out to other businesses, yeah.
We tried that many times, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm still voting for the Resurrect the Town bonfire, and that would be, let the fire department
Do
show.
it there.
Yeah, just do it there, and let the fire department show off all their equipment. You know, they could show off how they would go in and rescue somebody or
There you
something
go.
like that. But I think I'd be outvoted, and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, there's a lot of exciting things that things will be available. I think the biggest thing that is trying to become part of this. I'm going to talk to Matt. I'll find out, get his sentiment, but try to find out how we get this, how we get help in identifying buildings and identifying projects.
Yeah.
I feel that I got a good group right now that's willing to do what they need to do to get things done. As I said, as we said, the fact that the school was getting, 313,000 out of a $300,000 out of a $700,000 project they were getting for free was significant to them. And I think they're really seeing now that they can get things done. Now, so that was exciting right now. Other than that, that's we're in this wonderful state of waiting to hear whether we got money,
Mm-hmm.
and then going through this whole process again. But I think the big thing I got is that we got to get some projects ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
That this spring we have to, by springtime we should be already getting projects lined up to get ourselves ready for next fall, type of thing.
Cemetery Commission actually reached out to me about robot mowers and replacing, and then they couldn't do the robot mowers because Kelly said that they weren't eligible, but they want to do their mowers for the battery ones. And
Yeah, that was something that was
Yeah.
in that
Yes.
document you sent over too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're going to talk about
Electrifying all the-
at their meeting
Okay.
about battery-powered lawn mowers, and then if we
Okay.
could help them at some
And
point.
does that gets into like leaf blowers and snow throwers and all that kind of equipment, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Moving more towards the battery. Yeah. Which makes a lot more sense. I mean, I know it's the cemetery, so I'm not worried about the noise
Yeah.
as much from a mower, but.
Well, mowers are much quieter, the battery-powered ones.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm not,
yeah.
we're not waking.
The neighbors don't care, so.
Oh, yeah.
Or the residents don't
Yeah.
care.
It's unfortunate, but that's also gets us into that thing that, like, okay, I got the cemetery commission, but what about parks? What about the ones who do the schools?
Right.
And things like that?
Yeah.
Why are we having like 3 sets of mowers we're buying?
Right. Can we buy,
A mower?
well, and if you're buying, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, we don't need to own one with each group if we could share the assets. But
Yes.
I was thinking more if you could bulk buy them too. I wasn't sure how that worked, but I guess the town buys them all, so
Right,
that's less of an issue.
right.
Yeah, but then you have to issue
But the
like.
town-
sort of like where do
But
you
the town
store
buys
it?
them at a different time, so we don't get any discounts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's when each group says they need it,
Right.
instead of
If
saying,
we were like,
yeah,
oh, we're gonna buy 6 mowers.
correct.
What can we get for a deal as opposed, yeah.
Well, we could, like, if cemetery wanted that, we could reach out to parks and whoever else and be like, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to be involved and get some for yourself?
Correct,
You know?
correct, yes, yeah. So, and by the way, there is huge incentives by the state on that. And this is
Yeah.
one of those things we're getting into that, there's federal funding for things like that. There was a whole list of programs, and I'll be sending you guys some websites to look at and things of that sort. Okay, so we'll be okay, there's a lot of things that I found that we weren't participating in, that the state has available. I think I need to get Kelly down and in front of us again and just kind of grill her as to, what are some of these other things that we're missing out on and things of that sort. Just changing our focus a little bit
Mm-hmm.
as a group, to force this town to maybe do something when it comes to, being serious about that. Like, because they still talk about the windows here.
Right, like,
But then again, now they're saying, okay, well, if we redo the building, why am I gonna put new windows in when I can do it while I'm redoing the building, type of thing? Well, how long is it gonna take before we redo this building?
right.
That's that catch
So it
22.
needs to be like that data plan with like, this is what will, like, I don't know.
Correct.
What would make sense to happen, and then just like, okay, do it.
Yes, yes. And
But the other, Dave, could I interrupt for half a second?
Sure.
But on the other hand, the chair of your building reuse committee, I believe, stated the other day in a meeting, I don't know if the select board or where it was, I think it was select board, that these projects like the windows and the tightening up of the buildings and so on is really not calculated into the programs that the renovation programs that you were working on, because those projects are in the works separately. So these envelope projects need to go forward, or they're just going to add more money onto the renovation of that particular building. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
He did mention that. You're right, Dave. He did say that, because he was mentioning that when, at the building reuse thing, when we're hiring a contractor now we're giving out paying somebody to come up with the plans. Let's put it that way.
Right. But I like I say, I just want everybody to be clear or understand, unless they change their plans, that these projects that we're talking about should not necessarily be held up because we're going to renovate the building, because they're envelope projects that are presently, anyway, from my understanding, are not in the renovation project.
Agree, Dave. Agree. And
Yep.
the only thing I say though is that, when they get the plans back from the designers or whatever we want to call them,
Yep.
and if it showed something different, like in other words, I don't know if the designers are looking at it as we keep in the building exactly the same. Do I destroy all the work I just did with the new windows or the envelope tightening by changing the building so much?
Yeah, no, and I understand that, and I agree with that. You have to take that into consideration. But I think at the end of the day, for the most part, the envelope of that building's not going to change. It's the interior for the renovation project.
Correct.
Well, I think the hardest part then is, and it's what you talked about with one of the opportunities there, is convincing the townspeople that that's what's needed.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Maybe this isn't going to be the school, maybe this isn't this, but investing in this building is not an unwise investment, because it still is going to have a purpose, or it's going to make it a more enticing asset for whatever's done with it after the fact.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's sometimes a hard sell.
Correct.
Well, any modifications, if we were to change the use, it would just be probably pretty minor, or we could design it to be
Right.
pretty flexible with whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if the infrastructure's there, it's there. I mean,
Right.
to just designate a room to call it something different, it's not a classroom anymore. It's
It's an office, it still needs HVAC.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So that'll be fine. So, guys, that's kind of my whole thing that I had today, was more of just a review, a lot of what's been going on. The other thing is, as I said, I'll send these links out, and I'd like you guys to just review. And we're going to be doing remote for the next meeting. It'll end up being remote anyhow. I'm going to be down south myself. So, but the fact of the matter is I do believe if we can get, the whole push is to try to line up, whether it's the schools, whether it's other municipal buildings, but line up some buildings and projects, and maybe start working on maybe a 5-year plan on attacking different buildings and different structures here.
Yeah.
The money's there, and it's just a matter of being able to use it and use it wisely right now.
Dave, do you see anything coming down the road? And I know there's some question as to whether we're going to continue as a nation to continue towards electric vehicles, but do you see any other incentives that have maybe been touched on for full electric vehicles? For department heads to ride around in and things like that. Every year, it seems like I'd see another SUV driving around town with magnetic signs on the side of them for some town entity, sewer department or whatever. And, we haven't been keyed into the purchase of those vehicles. I don't even know how they buy them, because I've never seen them on the capital plans either. So I don't know how those are coming into the fleet, but they are.
Understand, and it was interesting because, I agree, I think one of the things is we gotta get the town, the different departments in this town to understand, there's no, like I just say, I don't think there's been a big push in town for the town to think about energy savings.
Right.
Everything's always just been, if you need it, you buy it. Like, one of the ones is there was a big push for, the larger vehicles, like what am I gonna call, like an F-750, 650, 750, so like, I'm talking about like a 1.5 ton vehicles, so some decent sized vehicles, and there was some really good incentives to go hybrid, and I was just told, nah, we don't really use those vehicles. Or I was in this weird area where they weren't big enough, but they were too big for most of what we do. And I'm like, okay, guys,
That's just an unwillingness to adjust their day-to-day operations to fit something that would, could possibly save the town an awful lot of money in maintenance and cost. But yeah, you run into that all the time.
Exactly, and that's why this CELT program that they talk about, of being able to get data, so like showing how even like on a truck, the long-term maintenance and the long-term reliability, the long-term cost of going hybrid or going electric outweighs the short-term cost.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. The other thing that the Finance Committee has pushed for years is good data collection for our present fleet over the past 10 years. And, all we ever got was, well, this is how we do it. It's the way we've always done it. And we don't see any reason to do any more than that. But it doesn't give us the data points to compare to what the state will give us for information if we go hybrid or some other route.
Right.
It protects we'll do it the way we've always done it.
Yes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but it is broke, and they still
Right.
don't want to fix it.
Right.
Type of thing. Okay, so, I'm gonna look for not the first week of January, but the second week of January for us to get together. First week of January, I figured is a little crazy. Well, I
Yep.
don't know, what's the first official week of January now?
First is Wednesday.
Wednesday, so actually maybe,
That's New Year's Day.
no, but I definitely wouldn't be the first, so then it would be what, that's gonna be like the 6th?
Monday the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, we could do Monday the 6th if you guys wanted.
Yeah, the holiday break will be over by the 6th, and now you had something, one of those projects had to be dealt with by January, is that correct?
January 31st.
Oh,
So
okay,
I'll send you the
so,
January 31st.
Yeah, I'll send you the information on that, so we can review ahead of time.
yep,
Just to see if what I'll look to do is it'll be a virtual meeting on that day. Because I'll still be away. I mean,
Yep.
if you guys want to get together, you're welcome to get together. But I'm gonna look to try to see if I can get, Matt O'Keefe from, Unitil to join us and talk about some of these things.
Yeah.
and Dave,
Okay,
around that time of that meeting, or maybe even before, it might be worth sending some of that information towards Karen Chapman so that she knows that we may be coming into another letter of intent or application process for late January if we need her help pulling
Okay.
something together.
Yep, no, that makes sense, definitely. Okay. So, yeah, so let's take a look at what this entails, what we have on it. I'm hoping it's something simple. I don't hold my breath. Nothing when it comes to the state is simple to fill out. But we'll figure that out on that. So let me just make myself, here. All right, what time would you like to do? Is this better for people this late, or is it better earlier?
I'm okay earlier. It was just this week 'cause I'm doing an audit. So
Yeah,
otherwise
but still,
earlier.
I'm giving the options. I mean,
Thank you.
if we're gonna be doing a virtual, I mean,
That's fair.
do you like it this time, or do you like it better earlier?
I can't, going earlier than 6 makes it hard for me to get in time, so.
Gotcha.
Anytime 6 later is fine.
Okay.
Sure when.
Okay, Dave, you have thoughts on it?
Yeah, 7 or 7:30 works good for me. Whatever works for you guys, I'll make it work.
All right, you want to do 7?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So January 6th, 7 PM.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right. So, I'm going to stop sharing here again on you, Dave.
Yep.
Hold on. And nope, I didn't have anybody waiting in the waiting room this whole time. Okay. So that would have been fun, but that's fine. And any other things and how's that website doing?
I've been slacking because I was finishing up my class for grad school, but
Oh.
now it just, I took my final last weekend, so now I have time and I will start posting a couple
No
things
problem,
again.
no problem,
But
no
I haven't looked at it, unfortunately.
That's okay. That's okay. No, well, that means that nobody's making like wild comments.
Oh, yeah, no,
that-
people don't make any weird comments, which is great. I don't get any like weird messages, so no.
Okay.
It's keeping on the right track.
So did you pass?
Yes, I got an A in my class.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
And then my lab, and then I'll graduate.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you'll be officially,
A master of
At-
science.
okay, in?
Biotechnology.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Okay. All right.
Not,
One step, are you going to go for your DR?
No.
No?
I'm never going back to school ever again, actually. And you have to remember that because it's like, oh, you graduate, and then you're like, oh, 4 years later, you like forget how much time it took and how hard it was. You're like, oh yeah, let me go do that again. So no, I have to write myself a note.
Yes.
In 4 years, to future self, do not go back to school. Don't do it.
Understand.
No, it was good though. Very excited to be almost done.
Okay. All right. Hopefully,
More time for this.
hopefully that means like that huge pay raise now that you can wave that master's title in front of you. You know? No?
No.
Okay.
They pay for it though. We have like a reimbursement program
Yeah.
at work, which
Yeah.
is really nice.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So at least I didn't have to pay for it.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That is nice. Yeah.
Very nice of them.
My bad. Yeah. So anyway, that's the thing. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, comments, questions, anybody, or anything like that? Okay. So I'm going to
Dave?
say at the hour of 8:35, I'll take a motion.
Dave, could we hold up for a minute?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, two things. I think we really need to concentrate on trying to get a couple new members to step forward. I'm willing to stay on a little bit longer, but it's not going to be a lot longer. Just out of reality. And our young gentleman that was interested, where does that stand? I haven't seen anything.
I dropped the ball on that. So I too wasn't going for my grad thing, but I got myself involved in too many things. So I'm going to pursue that again.
Okay. See, now as far as I know, he reached out to Annie. So it might be easiest for you, just suggesting that you reach out to Annie and say that the committee has already talked with this kid, this gentleman, excuse me.
Okay.
And that, we're very much on board with him getting on the committee, and she may take it from there because she's got a schedule with the board of selectmen and so on and so forth, select board.
Annie, I'm sorry. Oh, Annie is, okay.
Aubrey.
Yeah.
Annie Aubrey, the
Yeah.
administrative assistant for the select board. She's got to handle it anyway, so if you tell her that we're on board with it, I think she'd run with it.
Okay, great. Let me do that because, yeah, I got to do something. I apologize. I lost it on that one. It's been an
Yeah.
interesting couple of months for me, so,
Do you
okay.
want me to
Not a
put
problem.
something on the Facebook page too, like saying if anyone's interested in
Yeah, well,
or being a member? Okay.
yeah. We haven't seen Chris in a while. And, last time I got it where he missed, he says, oh, I didn't get to your email, so I don't know if he's just busy or where I'm at with that. But definitely could, more members will be easier on everybody.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
So, yeah.
And Chris, didn't Chris, wasn't it problematic for Mondays for Chris? But I honestly don't remember. There was one day that was problematic, but I'm not sure what day of the week it was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Vaguely remember that as well. I just don't know which day.
Yeah, I don't know, remember which shape. So I'll reach out and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And maybe the idea of maybe the virtual thing will work out for a little bit and things like that. Then we can move on from there. Okay?
Yeah. Hey, Dave, just to be aware, not that it affects this meeting at all, as we ran it, but for some reason, the updated agenda never made it onto the town calendar with the Zoom link. The agenda was there, but without a Zoom link. Just so you're aware, it legally it's okay, but I'm not sure why the update didn't get onto the calendar.
So I'll just get the Zoom link right away then and just
Yeah.
have it on there. Okay.
Yeah, okay, great.
Heidi's good with that, so that's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. I'm good.
Excellent. You sure?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn at 8:33.
Okay,
Second?
all right. All right, we'll do a roll call vote here. Mr. Passios,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Ms. Duffy,
Aye.
and an aye for me. So we will thank you again for your attendance and look forward to talking to you again all soon.
Night, everybody.
Good night.